Welcome, y'all. It's Wes with DIY Food Plot Pro. Thanks so much for joining us. On today's episode, we're going to talk about the number one question that I get asked from food plotters, land managers, and landowners regarding food plots. Can I actually hunt my food plots, or are we just using those plots to keep whitetails near or around our property where we have a chance of harvesting those mature whitetail bucks? I'm going to go through today what we've experienced on the outfitter running the 1,800 acre whitetail deer hunting outfitter. I get to see this on a large scale, spread out across my county. I get to see real life experiences, and today I'm going to share those with you. Can we hunt food plots or not? And that's kind of a double-edged sword because all properties are set up a little bit differently. So when I go to set up one of my farms for the outfits, or when I go to set up a client's farm for him, the first thing that I'm looking at is our access, and we're looking at wind direction to be able to hunt these food plots that may or may not even be here yet. Many times when I start walking a farm, I find a food plot that somebody has planted many years ago. It's directly in the center of the farm, or it's all the way in the very back of the farm with all the bedding kind of in the middle to the center of the property. We got to walk all the way through that to get to that bedding area. So the number one rule when setting up a food plot for me is I have to make 100% sure that that food source is 100% unpressured. And what do I mean by that? An unpressured food source is an area that mature deer are going to feel comfortable coming out in. I'm going to say 95% of food plots set up are not set up this way. The deer don't feel comfortable going into those food plots, and so they're either going to switch to straight nocturnal in these plots, or they're just going to avoid them altogether. They realize that this is a trap. When I'm talking an unpressured food plot, I'm talking about a food plot that you can access in or out with deer being in the food plot without spooking those deer. Many times this is not the case for food plots. There are certain food plots that this does not work on. And in those cases, we can hunt the food. If you are hunting pressured food, your chances of killing a mature deer in that alfalfa plot or standing corn or standing beans or brassicas or whatever you're planting is much less than what it would be if that was a 100% unpressured plot. When we're first setting these food plots up, we're setting these food plots up on the outsides of the property where we have the advantage of being able to get in and get out without busting deer. That is such a huge role in this game that we play. Instead of going back in deep where they live, where they want to be in that thick bedding area in the center of your property, we hunt the edges. And by doing that, we have great access, we can control our wind, and we're not boogering those deer up that are in the center of the property. They feel comfortable, they feel secure, and the more times they go into that food plot and don't have a negative reaction, the more comfortable they feel, the more secure they feel in that food plot. So many times when I'm walking a property, I come up to a food plot and you see a stand that sticks out like an absolute sore thumb right out in the center of it. And one thing that I like to think of as a whitetail, let's say that I'm coming from down in this woods. That's where my bed is back on that ridge, and I'm coming to this food plot. The first thing that we have to understand about mature bucks that differs from does and young bucks, the does and the young bucks are just going to pile out. They may be a little bit skittish, but they're just going to pile out. A mature deer is not going to do that. He is going to stand in cover 20 to 30 yards or as close as he can get and still be in cover and still see the food plot. And he's going to stand there and he's going to scan the entire plot. He does not feel secure if he could see you in that blind. And many times, this is a great time of the year to get out, get in your woods and do exactly what I just said. So many times when we get in those woods and we look back at our blind, it's really eye-opening, and you think, holy cow, my blind sticks out like a sore thumb, or my stand sticks out like a sore thumb. He can stand there on the edge of cover and look at me, never have to come into the plot. So that's just one little piece of advice that I use when I'm setting up these farms. I always like to get from the deer's perspective looking into the plot to see how secure that plot is. A lot of folks believe that you can never hunt the food. I couldn't disagree more. And we've proven that at the outfitter. We have killed multiple 5.5, 6.5 year old deer in the center of these plots, year in and year out. The main thing that was happening there was we had rock solid access. We could get in and we could get out without busting those deer. We had an area that was unpressured food. And for me, that's pretty significant because, as you know, I run the outfitter. We're hunting pretty hard through the rifle season, and we're hunting pretty hard through the muzzleloader season. It's really difficult to not put pressure on this food. If you pressure your food though, your hunt is over with. And a lot of guys will wonder, do the deer know that I'm hunting them in this food plot? A great way to look at that is if your food plots are going down in productivity. So the first time you hunt it, you see 10 does, 2-year-old 8-pointer, and a couple 1.5-year-old bucks, and everything seems pretty comfortable. The next time you go, you see 5 does and 1 buck. The next time you go, you see 3 does, or those 5 does, no bucks. And as your productivity is going down, you realize that you're making a negative impact going in there. Food plots are a great way of keeping whitetails on our farm, giving us a chance at killing those mature whitetails. I'm a firm believer in food plots. I have food plots on every single farm that I have leased for the outfitter, and I've yet to consult on a property and didn't put a food plot in. But I'm a bigger believer in hunting these food plots in a way that this food is unpressured. I can't overstate that enough, how important this is, that this food be completely unpressured. If the deer know, if the deer are getting human scent, if you are spooking deer on the way to your stand, you are putting pressure and you are forming a negative reaction in your deer woods. Not a good thing at all. The best thing that we can do as land managers, as landowners, as food plotters, is to set these food plots up in a way that we are putting zero pressure on the whitetails. That's what mature bucks want. They want food, but they want secure food. They are not going to come to a food plot where there is a ton of human activity all the time. This is something that a lot of folks overlook. They go to the middle of their farm, they have a 3/4 acre opening, maybe an old ag field that nobody plants anymore. They put clover in it, cereal rye, whatever, name the food plot. They put it down there. They walk 600 yards through timber, through bedding to get to the food plot. They put their stand right on the edge of the plot where they have very little cover, and then they don't see deer and they get frustrated with the food plots and they say, well, we can't hunt food plots. If you set food plots up in a way that is beneficial for you and the whitetails, you can hunt food, and you can hunt food a ton and not pressure these plots. And by doing that, you have good chances of killing mature bucks in these plots. There are many, many locations throughout the outfitter where I have food plots, whether that be standing corn, standing beans, alfalfa as we're standing in right now, brassicas, cereal grains. We hunt mainly food plots. And you ask, why do we mainly hunt food plots? Because we set those food plots up in a way that we're not pressuring the whitetails, and also we're not having to travel deep into those woods and bust deer out of the woods. We use the woods as a sanctuary. We don't go into the woods. The only time we're going into the woods is right on the edge, or if we're tracking a deer. But 9 times out of 10, we are on the edge of a property hunting our food plots with rock solid access where we can get in and out with deer being in the field and not spook them. That is such a major, major thing when we're trying to target mature bucks. If you can't get in and out, you might as well not put that food there. That's how critical and serious that this issue is. If you need extra help setting up your farm or your food plots, I have a website set up, www.DIYFoodplotPro.com. You can go there, you can click on a monthly subscription, a yearly subscription, or you can do a boots on the ground farm visit where I come to your property, look at the habitat, look at the food sources, look at the layout, tell you where you can set your stands up, how we can improve access, how we can improve food plots, how we can improve your hunting in general. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Smash that like and subscribe button if you hadn't already.